The wasteland stretched endlessly under twin moons, casting eerie shadows across the ruins of what once was a thriving colony. Marcus pulled his worn coat tighter as he navigated through the skeletal remains of buildings, his scanner beeping softly in search of salvageable tech. 28 years of scavenging had taught him to trust his instincts. And tonight something felt different. The abandoned research facility loomed before him, its twisted metal frame groaning in the desert wind. Most scavengers avoided this place, claiming it was cursed. Marcus had never believed in curses, only opportunity. He slipped through a gap in the outer wall, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. Deep within the facility's bowels, a faint sound caught his attention. Not the usual settling of debris, but something organic. Something alive. Following the sound through collapsed corridors, Marcus discovered a sight that made his breath catch. She lay crumpled against a fallen beam, her pale blue skin glowing faintly in the darkness. An alien, but unlike any he had seen before. Where others were fierce warriors or calculating traders, she appeared fragile, almost ethereal. Her silver hair spilled across the floor like liquid moonlight, and intricate patterns traced her arms like living tattoos. Her eyes fluttered open as his light found her face. They were the color of deep ocean, filled with pain and resignation. She tried to speak, but only managed to whisper in her musical language. Marcus didn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear in her expression. "Please don't leave me here to die." Everything Marcus had been taught screamed at him to walk away. Humans and her kind had been at war for decades. Helping her could mean death if either side discovered his actions. But looking into those desperate eyes, he saw something that transcended species hatred. Raw, vulnerable humanity. "Easy there," Marcus whispered, kneeling beside her. "I'm not going to hurt you." She flinched as he approached, clearly expecting violence. When his hands moved gently to examine her injuries, confusion flickered across her features. Her left leg was twisted at an unnatural angle, and dark fluid seeped from wounds along her side. Without proper medical care, she wouldn't survive another day. Marcus made a decision that would change both their lives forever. Sliding his arms beneath her surprisingly light frame, he lifted her carefully. She gasped, whether from pain or shock, he couldn't tell. Her head fell against his shoulder, and he felt the rapid flutter of her heartbeat through her thin clothing. "I've got you," he murmured, carrying her toward his hidden shelter. "Whatever they did to you, whatever reason they left you here, it doesn't matter now. You're safe." As they emerged into the pale moonlight, Nira's eyes fixed on his face with an intensity that made his chest tighten. In that moment, neither fully understood the forces they had set in motion, but both felt the first stirrings of something profound and dangerous blooming between them. The wasteland wind whispered around them as Marcus carried his unlikely burden toward an uncertain future, knowing only that leaving her behind was impossible. Healing Touch Marcus's shelter was carved into the side of a collapsed overpass, hidden from both human and alien patrols. Solar panels disguised his debris-powered, his small medical bay. It's a necessity for someone who made his living in dangerous places. He laid Nira on his only bed, her unconscious form looking impossibly small against the rough blankets, working by the soft glow of bioluminescent panels. Marcus cleaned and dressed her wounds with practiced efficiency. Her alien physiology was different enough to worry him, but similar enough that human medical supplies seemed to help. As he worked, she stirred occasionally, murmuring in her native tongue. On the second day, she woke fully. Panic flashed across her features until she saw Marcus sitting nearby, reading from a battered tablet. Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them. She attempted to sit up, wincing as her injuries protested. "Careful," Marcus said, moving to support her. "You're safe here, but you need to rest." To his surprise, she responded in accented but clear English. "Why? Why did you help me?" Her voice was like wind chimes, musical, even when strained with pain. Marcus set down his tablet, considering his answer. "Because you needed help." That seemed more important than what species we are. Tears gathered in her ocean blue eyes. "My own people left me there. They said I was broken, useless. that my gift was a curse that brought shame to our family. She touched the patterns on her arms, which pulsed faintly within her light. These marks. They appear when I feel strongly. My kind sees them as a deformity. They're beautiful, Marcus said without thinking, then felt heat rise in his cheeks. Nira's eyes widened in surprise. No one had ever called her beautiful before. The marks along her arms began to glow brighter, responding to emotions she had never dared to feel. You truly think so? I do. Marcus found himself moving closer, drawn by something beyond physical attraction. Tell me about your gift. Over the following days, as Nira's strength returned, she revealed her ability to sense and influence emotional energy. She could feel the pain of others, sometimes even heal it by taking it into herself. Her people, who prized emotional control above all else, saw this as weakness and contamination. That's why they left me in the facility. She explained one evening as Marcus changed her bandages. They hoped I would die quietly, taking my shame with me. His hands stilled on her leg, anger flashing in his eyes. Their loss is my gain then. The intimacy of caring for her had created an unexpected closeness. Each touch, each gentle word, built something deeper than gratitude between them. When Nira placed her hand over his, both felt an electric connection that had nothing to do with her alien abilities. Marcus, she whispered, her voice uncertain. What I feel when you touch me. Is this what humans call attraction? His breath caught as he looked into her eyes, seeing his own growing feelings reflected there. Among other things, he admitted. Is that okay with you? Instead of answering with words, Nira leaned forward and pressed her lips softly to his. The kiss was tentative, experimental, but it sent fire through both their veins. Her markings blazed with soft light, painting the small shelter in ethereal blue radiance. When they parted, both were breathing hard. The barriers between their species seemed to dissolve in that moment, leaving only two souls who had found something precious in the wasteland's harsh embrace. 3 weeks had passed since that first kiss. The shelter had transformed into something neither Marcus nor Nira had expected. A home. Their days fell into a comfortable rhythm of healing, talking, and discovering each other in ways that transcended physical differences. Nira's leg had healed completely, her alien physiology proving remarkably resilient. Show me again, Marcus said one morning. Watching as Nira made the shelter's mechanical systems respond to her emotional energy, lights brightened and dimmed in patterns that matched her heartbeat, while the air recyclers hummed in harmony with her breathing. It's not magic, she explained, her markings pulsing with concentration. Everything has energy, even machines. I can feel it, guided. Her eyes met his with growing confidence. You help me realize it's not a curse. It's who I am. Marcus pulled her closer, marveling at how perfectly she fit against his side. You're incredible, Nira. Your people were fools to cast you out. The praise made her markings flare brighter, but also brought a shadow of worry to her features. Marcus, what we have. It's dangerous. If either of our kinds discovered us, ... He silenced her fears with a kiss, deeper and more passionate than any they had shared before. His hands tangled in her silver hair as she pressed against him, her alien warmth seeping through his clothes. When they broke apart, both were breathless. Let them come, Marcus whispered against her lips. I'm not giving you up. Their relationship had moved beyond mere attraction into something profound and consuming. Nights were spent in each other's arms, sharing stories, dreams, and increasingly intimate touches. Nira's empathic abilities made every caress electric, every kiss a sharing of souls that left them both changed, but their paradise couldn't last forever. The morning Marcus went out for supplies. His scanner detected multiple ships approaching the wasteland, both human military vessels and alien hunting pods, converging on their location with deadly purpose. He rushed back to find Nira pacing frantically, her markings blazing with alarm. They're coming, she gasped. I can feel their hatred, their determination. Someone betrayed our location. Marcus grabbed their emergency supplies, his military training kicking in. How long do we have? Minutes at most. Nira's voice trembled, but her eyes were resolute. Marcus, you should run. Let me face them alone. Never. He pulled her close, feeling her heart racing against his chest. We're in this together, remember? The sound of approaching engines filled the air as the first ships appeared on the horizon. Marcus led Nira to a hidden tunnel he had prepared for emergencies. But as they ran, she suddenly stopped. Wait, she said, her eyes widening with realization. My emotions. They're so strong now because of what we share. I can feel the energy of their ships, their weapons. Her markings began to pulse in complex patterns. I think I can do something about this. Before Marcus could ask what she meant, the first of their pursuers landed outside the shelter. Armed figures poured out. Both human soldiers and alien warriors united in their singular purpose: to destroy the abomination of their forbidden love. But Nira stepped forward, her markings now blazing like stars, and for the first time in her life, she didn't fear the power flowing through her. Love had made her strong, and she would use every ounce of that strength to protect the man who had shown her what it meant to be valued. The final confrontation was about to begin, and neither side was prepared for what she had become. Part 4. Hunt and hide. The tunnel system beneath the wasteland was a maze Marcus had mapped over years of scavenging. But even he struggled to navigate in the darkness while supporting Nira. Her power display had bought them precious time, disabling several ships and scattering their pursuers. But reinforcements were already arriving. This way, Marcus whispered, pulling her down a narrow passage that led toward the old mining complex. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit echoed through the tunnels, boots on stone, harsh voices calling orders in multiple languages. Nira stumbled, exhaustion from her power use making her legs weak. Marcus caught her immediately, pulling her against his chest. I've got you, he murmured, his lips brushing her ear. Just a little further, they emerged into a vast underground chamber, lit by phosphorescent fungi that cast everything in an eerie green glow. Ancient mining equipment stood like metal monuments to a forgotten age, and somewhere in this mechanical graveyard lay their only hope of escape. There, Marcus pointed to a partially buried transport vehicle. If we can get it working. ... Double quotes. Nira placed her hands on the corroded hull, markings flickering as she felt for the machine's dormant energy. It's old, but the core is intact. Give me a moment. As she worked, Marcus kept watch at the tunnel entrance. The sounds of pursuit were getting closer, accompanied by the whine of energy weapons charging. He turned back to find Nira slumped against the transport, her face pale with exhaustion. It's too much, she gasped. The machine is fighting me. It doesn't want to wake up. Marcus knelt beside her, taking her hands in his. Then don't fight it alone. He pressed his forehead against hers, sharing his strength through touch and will. We're stronger together, remember? Something miraculous happened. Where their skin touched, Nira's markings began to pulse in rhythm with Marcus's heartbeat. The transport systems suddenly roared to life, responding not just to her alien gift, but to their combined emotional resonance. Impossible, Nira breathed, staring at their joined hands. My people said the gift couldn't be shared with other species. Your people were wrong about a lot of things, Marcus replied. Helping her into the transport's cramped cockpit, they launched just as their pursuers burst into the chamber. Energy bolts sizzling past the transport's hull as it climbed toward the surface. But their escape route was blocked by a waiting battlecruiser, its weapons systems tracking their movement. Marcus, Nira whispered, fear creeping into her voice for the first time since they had met. He reached over and took her hand, their fingers intertwining perfectly despite their different anatomy. Trust me, he said, then did something that would have been suicidal in any other circumstance. He flew straight at the massive ship that at the last moment. Nira's power surge overwhelmed the cruiser's targeting systems, and they slipped past its defenses like a ghost. But the effort left her unconscious, her markings dim and flickering. Marcus piloted them to a hidden cave system in the far mountains, where he had cached supplies years ago. As he carried Nira inside, her eyes opened briefly. The transport, she murmured weakly. I felt something in its memory core. Something important. While she slept, Marcus investigated her discovery. Hidden in the ancient machine's databanks was a map leading to a weapons cache left by the original colonists. Not just any weapons, it's artifacts capable of ending the war between their species permanently. He looked down at Nira's peaceful face, her markings now pulsing in time with his own breathing. They had found love in the wasteland, but perhaps they had also found something more. The key to peace between two worlds that had forgotten how to coexist. The choice before them was monumental. But as Nira stirred in his arms, Marcus knew they would face it together. Dawn broke over the mountain peaks as Marcus and Nira approached the location marked on the ancient map. The weapons cache lay hidden beneath a crystalline formation that hummed with otherworldly energy. Responding to Nira's presence with increasing intensity, "It's beautiful," she whispered, her markings resonating with the crystal's frequency. "But Marcus, I can feel something else. This isn't just a weapons cache. It's a beacon." Before he could ask what she meant, the sky filled with ships. Both human and alien fleets had followed them here, drawn by the same ancient signals that had guided their journey. They were outnumbered 1,000 to 1, with nowhere left to run. Marcus pulled Nira close as the first landing craft touched down. "Whatever happens, I want you to know that these have been the best weeks of my life." "Don't talk like we're finished," she replied. But her voice trembled with uncertainty. The leaders of both fleets approached under a temporary ceasefire, their faces hard with determination. Commander Hayes of the human forces and War Prime Zeth of the alien armada stood side by side, united in their disgust for the couple before them. "Your abomination ends here," Hayes declared. "You violated every law of nature and decency. The contaminated one will be cleansed," Zeth added. His predatory eyes fixed on Nira, and her human pet will learn the price of defiling our bloodlines. But as weapons were raised and death sentences pronounced, something extraordinary happened. The crystalline formation began to sing, its harmonies awakening something deep within the mountain. Ancient machinery, dormant for millennia. Stirred to life, Nira gasped as visions flooded her mind, memories stored in the crystal itself. "Marcus, this place. It was built by both our species. Long ago, before the war, before the hatred. Humans and my people worked together here. The crystals projected holographic images into the air, scenes of cooperation, of love between species, of children who carried the best traits of both races. It was a history that both sides had deliberately erased. Too ashamed of what they had lost to remember what they once were." "Lies," Hayes snarled. But his voice lacked conviction. "Impossible," Zeth echoed. But his weapon lowered slightly. Nira stood, her markings blazing brighter than they ever had before. The power flowing through her was amplified by Marcus's presence, by their love, by the ancient energy of the place itself. She reached out with her gift, not to harm, but to heal, touching the minds and hearts of everyone present. For the first time in decades, the soldiers of both species felt each other's pain, each other's loss, each other's desperate longing for peace. The barriers of prejudice crumbled under the weight of shared empathy. "This is what we could be again," Nira said, her voice carrying to every person present. "Not enemies, but partners. Not two species, but one people." Marcus stepped forward, taking her hand. Their combined presence seemed to unlock the final secrets of the ancient site. Weapons caches opened to reveal not instruments of war, but tools of creation, terraforming equipment, medical advances, technologies that could heal worlds instead of destroying them. Commander Hayes lowered his weapon completely, tears streaming down his weathered face. "My God," he whispered, "what have we become?" War Prime Zeth's proud shoulders sagged as decades of conditioned hatred warred with newfound understanding. "The old records spoke of this place," he admitted. "We thought them myths. The transformation wasn't immediate or complete. Centuries of mistrust couldn't be erased in a single moment. But something fundamental had shifted, a crack in the wall of hatred that love had built into a doorway. Months later, as the first joint colonies were established and former enemies worked side by side, Marcus and Nira stood in their garden watching children play together. Human and alien offspring who would grow up in a world where love was stronger than fear. Nira's markings pulsed softly as she rested her head on Marcus's shoulder. "Do you think we'll be remembered? Does it matter?" he replied, pressing a kiss to her silver hair. "We found each other in the wasteland. Everything else is just bonus." As twin moons rose over their peaceful valley, two hearts beat as one, proving that love truly could conquer all.